Weddings are supposed to be the most sacred and happiest moment in a person's life. It is the day when two people who love each other walk hand in hand towards the future, witness their sincerity, and promise to spend their lives together. But for me, today's grand wedding was not a blessing, but the most humiliating and cruel public trampling I have ever endured. In this world, the most chilling thing is not poverty, not gap in status, but the ingratitude and snobbishness of the person you have loved and protected with all your heart. Some people accept your dedication, take all your sacrifices for granted, and turn around to despise your plainness, abandon your sincerity, and fawn on others' false glamour. For 3 years, I have silently paid everything for my fiancée, Lin Shiyu, and her entire family. I helped her family pay off millions of dollars in business debts, saved her father from bankruptcy and prison disaster, funded her sister's expensive overseas study fees, and spent countless money and resources to help her expand her social circle and start her fashion career. I never asked for anything in return. I only hid my supreme identity and wealth, chose to pretend to be an ordinary office worker with a monthly salary of only $4,000, wore cheap clothes, lived in a rental house, and kept a low profile just to test whether her love for me is pure and based on sincerity rather than money and status. I am Lu Chin, the sole controller of the Global Lu Consortium, a top cross-border billionaire whose assets exceed tens of billions of dollars. I control international real estate groups, luxury hotel chains, venture capital institutions, and top fashion media groups that dominate the global industry. My casual investment is enough to make ordinary wealthy families rich for several lifetimes. The high-end 5-star wedding hotel where our wedding is held, the luxurious wedding layout worth millions, the top wedding team, and all the wedding expenses are all paid by me in secret. All the noble guests present, the business celebrities and social elites that Lin Shiyu admires, are all people who rely on my resources and capital to survive in the industry. But Lin Shiyu knows nothing about all this, eye in her eyes. I am just a mediocre, powerless, poor ordinary man who can only live a trivial life. She has long been tired of my plain and unassuming appearance, dissatisfied with the so-called ordinary life I can give her, and yearns for the glamorous elite life of the upper class. Today, at our grand wedding ceremony, in front of all relatives, friends, business guests, and social celebrities, she completely tore off the disguise of tenderness, humiliated me publicly, abandoned me on the spot, and took the initiative to throw herself into the arms of a so-called wealthy elite guest. She laughed at my poverty, mocked my incompetence, and said that marrying me was the biggest shame in her life. She even knelt down to flatter that fake elite, claiming that he is the real man who can give her glory and wealth, while I am just a worthless loser unworthy of her love. What she never knows is that the so-called wealthy elite she admires is just a small project agent under my consortium, a trivial employee who relies on my charity to make money. And the poor loser she abandons and humiliates is the supreme boss who controls his entire fate and the patron of her entire family. For 3 years, I have tolerated her vanity, pampered her willfulness, and forgiven her trivial mistakes again and again. But today, her unscrupulous public humiliation and ruthless betrayal completely exhausted all my sincerity and patience. Since she loves vanity so much, worships false wealth, and tramples on the sincerity that has saved her family countless times, I will completely expose all truths in public today, crush her beautiful illusion of elite love, let her lose all glory and dignity in front of everyone, and let her and all those who humiliated me pay a desperate price they can never bear. Hashtag chapter 1, 3 years of silent dedication, all sincerity trampled on. 3 years ago, when I met Lin Shiyu, her family was on the verge of complete collapse. Her father's investment failed, the capital chain broke, and he owed millions of dollars in high-risk usury. Creditors came to the door every day to collect debts, and her family was forced to sell their house and property, on the verge of bankruptcy and homelessness. At that time, Lin Shiyu was desperate and helpless, crying every day, unable to see any hope for the future. All her relatives and friends avoided her. No one dared to help her, and all the so-called noble friends she had socialized with completely cut off contact with her, fearing that her family's debt disaster would implicate themselves. Only I stayed by her side silently, helping her settle all the violent debt collectors with my private resources, secretly paying off all her family's millions of dollars in debts, using my capital connections to resolve her father's legal disputes and avoid prison disaster, and helping her family restart their business and get out of the predicament. After her family got out of trouble, I continued to fund her sister's overseas study expenses of hundreds of thousands of dollars every year, provided her family with stable business resource support, and helped her successfully enter the high-end fashion circle and become a well-known local fashion influencer. I have never told her all these contributions. I have always hidden my identity, pretended to be an ordinary office worker with an ordinary salary, and told her that all the help was borrowed from friends and earned by my hard work, just to let her love me for who I am, not for my money. I thought that sincerity can be exchanged for sincerity and dedication can be exchanged for cherishment. But I was extremely wrong. After her family's career recovered and her social status improved, Lin Shiyu's original gratitude gradually turned into indifference and even disgust. She began to dislike my plain clothes, dislike my simple life, dislike my unglamorous job, and feel ashamed of having an ordinary boyfriend like me. She gradually began to socialize with high-end elites, indulge in vanity parties, pursue luxury brands and superior status, and look down on my trivial and plain life more and more. She often complained to me privately, saying that I had no ambition, no ability, could not give her the life she wanted, and that other girls around her could wear luxury designer clothes, drive luxury cars, and live in villas, while she could only follow me to endure hardship. Every time she complained, I chose to tolerate and comfort her, thinking that she was just young and vain, and would gradually settle down after getting married. I even spent millions of dollars to prepare this grand wedding, wanting to give her the most perfect wedding ceremony in the city, hoping to warm her heart with sincerity. But I never expected that my tolerance would become her capital to be unscrupulous, my dedication would become her bargaining chip to abandon me, and my carefully prepared wedding would become the stage for her to humiliate me publicly. Hashtag Chapter 2 wedding scene, public humiliation and ruthless betrayal. The Jinhua 5-star International Hotel is the most luxurious top wedding venue in the city. The wedding hall covers an area of thousands of square meters with top-level floral layout, luxury crystal chandeliers, custom wedding stage, and high-end audio and video equipment. Every inch of the venue reveals extravagant luxury, and the total cost of the wedding layout alone exceeds $2 million. Today is my wedding day with Lin Xiyu. All relatives and friends of both sides are present, as well as many local business celebrities, fashion circle elites, and social upper-class figures. The entire wedding venue is full of honored guests, bustling and extremely grand. All the guests are whispering and praising Lin Xiyu for her beauty and luck, thinking that she has found a stable and down-to-earth partner like me, and that she will have a stable and happy life in the future. Dressed in a neat and simple custom suit that is not expensive, I stood quietly on the wedding stage, waiting for my bride to walk towards me with a sincere heart. I have already prepared the wedding ring, and my heart is full of expectation for the future life. But Lin Xiyu, who is wearing a luxurious custom wedding dress and exquisite diamond jewelry, did not walk towards me as scheduled. Instead, she stood at the entrance of the wedding hall, her face cold and indifferent, without any happiness or shyness of a bride. Before the host presided over the wedding ceremony, Lin Xiyu directly took the microphone from the host's hand, and her cold voice spread throughout the entire wedding venue through the loudspeaker, instantly quieting all the noisy guests. Everyone, stop the wedding. As soon as these words came out, all the guests were stunned on the spot, with shocked expressions on their faces, whispering and discussing constantly, and the entire wedding venue was in an uproar. I was also stunned, looking at the bride I had loved and protected for 3 years in disbelief, with a trace of disbelief in my heart. Xiyu, what are you doing? Today is our wedding day. Lin Xiyu turned her eyes to me, her beautiful face full of undisguised disgust, contempt, and coldness, without any affection at all. She sneered sharply in front of thousands of guests. Wedding? Lu Chen, do you really think I am willing to marry a poor loser like you? I have endured you for 3 full years. I have pretended to be gentle and virtuous for 3 years. I have long been tired of your poor and ordinary life. You have no money, no power, no status, no future. You can only give me a trivial and boring life. Marrying you is the biggest shame and mistake in my life. I don't want to waste my whole life on a useless, ordinary man like you. Every word was sharp and piercing, like a sharp blade piercing straight into my heart. All the guests were completely stunned, staring at the scene in shock, never expecting that the wedding would turn into a public breakup and unilateral humiliation. My relatives and friends all changed their faces, wanting to stand up and defend me, but they were stopped by me with their eyes. I wanted to see how far this woman, whom I had paid everything for, could be ruthless and snobbish. Lin Xiyu completely ignored the shocked eyes of everyone and raised her chin high with extreme arrogance and vanity on her face and continued to humiliate me loudly. Look at you, you wear cheap suits worth hundreds of dollars, drive a broken old car, rent a small apartment to live in, and your monthly salary is not enough for me to buy a single lipstick. What qualifications do you have to marry me? All the luxury dresses and jewelry I wear today are borrowed by me. I don't want others to laugh at me for finding a poor boyfriend. I have endured enough of the poor life with you. Today, I want to announce to everyone clearly, I, Lin Xiyu, officially break off all relations with you, Lu Chen. This wedding is canceled directly. I would rather never marry than marry a mediocre loser like you. After saying that, she turned around gracefully, walked straight to the front row of the guest seat, and took the initiative to hold the arm of a tall, handsome man in a high-end luxury custom suit, with a flattering and adoring smile on her face. This man is Gao Feng, a so-called young elite in the local business circle. He usually drives a luxury car, wears famous brands, and likes to show off his wealth in social circles. He is also the person Lin Xiyu has secretly contacted and admired for a long time. Gao Feng raised his eyebrows slightly, with a condescending and arrogant smile on his face. He looked at me on the stage with extreme disdain and deliberately put his arm around Lin Xiyu's shoulder tightly, showing off his superiority in public. Lin Xiyu leaned closely beside Gao Feng, raised her head and looked at all the guests, and said proudly, "Let me introduce to everyone, this is Mr. Gao Feng, a real business elite with hundreds of millions of assets. He drives a $1 million luxury car, lives in a top villa, and has countless high-end resources and social connections. Only a man like Mr. Gao is worthy of me. Only he can give me the glamorous upper-class life I want. Compared with him, Lu Chun, you are nothing but a mole at the bottom of society. Gao Feng smiled faintly, his eyes full of contempt for me, and deliberately said in a pretentious and gentle tone, Lu Chun, right? I know you've been with Shiyu for 3 years, but feelings can't be based on pity and hardship. Shiyu is a beautiful and outstanding woman. She deserves the best life, not to endure poverty with you. I don't blame you for being poor. After all, not everyone is born with wealth and status, but you shouldn't occupy such an excellent woman as Shiyu and delay her youth. Today, I will take over your responsibility and let Shiyu live the elite life she deserves. These arrogant and pretentious words, together with Lin Shiyu's ruthless betrayal and public humiliation, completely became the sharpest slap in the face to me. The surrounding guests began to whisper and discuss, and many people looked at me with pity and ridicule. It's too miserable, being dumped by the bride on the wedding spot in public. No wonder the bride is unwilling to marry him. Looking at his ordinary conditions, he really can't compare with that wealthy, elite Mr. Gao. Poor guy, he must be humiliated to the extreme today. The whole city will know his embarrassment tomorrow. It's normal for women to pursue a better life. No one is willing to endure hardship with an ordinary man all their life. All kinds of discussions and ridicules rushed towards me like a tide, making me the biggest laughingstock of the entire wedding scene. Lin Shiyu's parents also stood aside with cold faces, not only did not comfort me, but also took the initiative to walk to Gao Feng's side, nodding and bowing to flatter him, completely ignoring my 3 years of dedication and help to their family. Lin Shiyu's father even said coldly, Lu Chen, our family Shiyu is right. You are indeed not worthy of her. From today on, our two families have no contact anymore. Don't pester Shiyu again. Looking at the family I had saved and protected with all my heart, turning around to trample on me wantonly, looking at the bride I had loved for 3 years, abandoning me in public to cling to a fake elite, the last trace of tenderness and tolerance in my heart completely disappeared. I have endured countless grievances and maintained endless sincerity, but what I got in return was ruthless betrayal and public humiliation. Since they love false wealth and vanity so much, and are so good at repaying kindness with enmity, I will completely expose all truths today, crush their false glory with absolute strength, and let them taste the most desperate regret and pain in the world. Hashtag Chapter 3 Shocking Reversal. The fake elite is my small employee. Just as Gao Feng was enjoying the admiration of the crowd, and Lin Shi was showing off her new elite boyfriend proudly, a burst of neat and powerful footsteps came from outside the wedding hall. A group of senior executives in high-end custom black suits walked in neatly. Everyone had a steady elite temperament, sharp eyes, and supreme aura. They were all top-level core executives of the global Lu Consortium, who usually only appear in international high-end business summits. Walking at the front was Qin Hao, the general manager of the city's branch of the Lu Consortium, a real top-level business tycoon in the city. Even the city's leaders need to take the initiative to make appointments to meet him. Ordinary wealthy people and business elites are not qualified to shake his hand. The sudden appearance of the top executive team instantly quieted the entire noisy wedding venue. All the guests were shocked and looked at the group of high-end elites in disbelief, wondering what major event had happened to make the Lu Consortium's senior management appear in person. Gao Feng's eyes lit up instantly, and his face was full of excitement and excitement. He usually tried his best to get in touch with the Lu Consortium's resources, but he never had the qualification to meet the senior management. He never expected to meet General Manager Qin here today. He immediately tidied up his suit, pulled Lin Shiyu beside him, and took the initiative to walk forward quickly, wanting to take this opportunity to curry favor with the big shot and climb up the high-end business line. Gao Feng stretched out his hands respectfully with a flattering smile on his face and took the initiative to greet. General Manager Qin, it's my honor to meet you here. I'm Gao Feng, the person in charge of Sinew Project Company. I have long admired your reputation. Lin Shiyu also stood beside Gao Feng nervously and excitedly, her eyes full of admiration and longing. She thought that Gao Feng was powerful enough to get acquainted with such a top big shot, and she was even more grateful for her wise choice of abandoning me and choosing Gao Feng. But the next second, a scene that shocked everyone's soul completely happened. General Manager Qin Hao directly ignored Gao Feng's outstretched hands and his flattering smile, walked straight past him without looking sideways, and rushed quickly towards the wedding stage where I was standing. Under the gaze of thousands of stunned guests, the usually aloof and dignified top business tycoon bent his waist 90 degrees deeply, bowed respectfully to me, and shouted in a trembling and extremely reverent voice that echoed throughout the entire wedding hall. Respected Chairman Lu, all senior management staff of the Lu Consortium branch are here to greet you. It's our dereliction of duty to let you suffer humiliation in your own wedding venue. Boom! The entire wedding venue exploded into earth-shaking uproar. All the guests were completely petrified on the spot. Their brains went blank, and they fell into unprecedented extreme shock and disbelief. Chairman Lu, the ordinary man who was just humiliated and abandoned on the wedding spot, the poor loser mocked by everyone, is the supreme chairman of the top-tier global Lu Consortium. Gao Feng's outstretched hands froze rigidly in the air. The excited smile on his face completely collapsed, and his whole body trembled violently like a sieve. Cold sweat instantly soaked through his expensive custom suit, and his face turned pale as paper in an instant. He knows better than anyone what the Lu Consortium represents. It is the absolute overlord of the local business circle, controlling more than half of the city's real estate, hotel, investment, and commercial resources. Even the top wealthy families in the city have to bow and flatter in front of the Lou Consortium. And his so-called hundreds of millions of assets and elite company are just a small project contractor under the Lou Consortium's industrial chain. All his company's projects and survival resources depend on the Lou Consortium's approval. The big shot he was eager to curry favor with, the supreme boss standing in front of him, is the ordinary poor man he just mocked and despised. Lin Xiu's body stiffened completely, her beautiful face lost all blood color, her eyes wide open in disbelief, staring at me on the stage in a daze. All her previous arrogance, vanity, and superiority were completely shattered into pieces at this moment. She abandoned a top billionaire chairman who had paid everything for her family and took the initiative to throw herself into the arms of a small employee under his banner. This is the most ridiculous and shameful joke in the world. Lin Xiu's parents were so scared that their legs went weak, and they slumped heavily to the ground, their whole bodies trembling constantly, filled with endless fear and despair. All the whispering and mocking guests fell into dead silence. No one dared to make a sound. Everyone stared at the scene in shock, completely unable to recover from the huge reversal. Hashtag Chapter 4 Full Truth Exposure. 3 years of kindness repaid with enmity. Qin Hao stood up straight, turned around, faced all the stunned guests, and solemnly announced all the truth to the public in a loud and powerful voice, completely exposing all the ignorance and snobbery of Lin Xiu and Gao Feng. I will now announce all the truth to everyone present today. M. Ard Elyuchin standing on the stage is the founder and sole chairman of the Global Lou Consortium. All the 5-star hotels, high-end commercial buildings, luxury real estate projects, and venture capital industries in this city are all under the full control of Chairman Lou. This grand wedding hotel you are in now is the core flagship property of the Lou Consortium. All wedding expenses, venue layout, and service teams are all arranged and paid by Chairman Lou personally. 3 years ago, your Lin family was on the verge of bankruptcy, owing millions of dollars in debts and facing prison disaster. It was Chairman Lou who secretly took action, paid off all your family's debts, resolved all legal crises, and helped your family rebuild your business from scratch. All the business resources, social connections, and development opportunities your family has obtained in the past 3 years are all provided by Chairman Lou's secret support. All the glory and wealth your family has now are all given by Chairman Lou. And you, Gao Feng, your so-called elite company and hundreds of millions of assets are all small project cooperation resources granted by the Lou Consortium. All your profits and development depend on Chairman Lou's mercy. You are just a small contractor working for Chairman Lou. Chairman Lou has hidden his identity for 3 years, kept a low profile, and guarded your Lin family silently, just to exchange for a sincere relationship. But you, Lin Xiu, repaid kindness with enmity, abandoned your benefactor, humiliated the chairman in public, and clung to a trivial subordinate who relies on the chairman's resources to make a living. These sonorous and powerful words were like continuous thunderclaps exploding over everyone's heads, completely shattering all false cognition. All the guests finally woke up completely. The man who was humiliated as a poor loser is the supreme benefactor of the Lin family and the absolute business overlord of the whole city. The elite man admired by Lin Xiu is just a small worker under his banner. The Lin family's all glory and wealth are all given by the man they abandoned and humiliated. Lin Xiu's face was full of tears of regret, and she collapsed completely on the ground. She finally knew how stupid, ignorant, and ungrateful she was. For 3 years, the plain boyfriend she disliked and despised had been silently saving her family, supporting her career, pampering her vanity, and paying all the costs for her glory. But she was blinded by trivial vanity, forgot all the kindness, abandoned sincerity, and humiliated her benefactor in public on the most important wedding day. Gao Feng's face was ashen and desperate. He knelt down on the ground with a plop, trembling all over, and completely lost all his previous elite arrogance. He knew that his career and future were completely over. All the guests looked at Lin Xiu and Gao Feng with disdain and contempt, and all the previous pity for me turned into endless admiration for me and disgust for their ungrateful behavior. Hashtag Chapter 5 Zero Mercy Thorough Sanction. All vanity collapses completely. I stood calmly on the wedding stage, my cold eyes sweeping over the kneeling and desperate crowd, without the slightest pity or fluctuation in my heart. Kindness needs to be cherished, and dedication needs to be rewarded. For ungrateful people who repay kindness with enmity, there is no need for any tolerance and mercy. I looked at Qin Hao beside me and issued cold and decisive orders one by one, completely sanctioning all the wrongdoers. First, immediately terminate all project cooperation between the Lou Consortium and Gao Feng's company, permanently blacklist Gao Feng and all his company's shareholders and employees, completely block all their industry resources in the whole city, freeze all their cooperative assets, and make their company go bankrupt on the spot. Second, completely withdraw all resource support and capital assistance provided to the Lin family over the years. Terminate all business cooperation with the Lin family's company. Cut off all elite circle connections for the Lin family. Let their family business collapse completely and return to the desperate bankrupt state 3 years ago. Third, publicly released the whole story of this incident on all official platforms of the consortium, exposed Lin Shiyu's ungrateful, vain, and snobbish behavior, let her become a public laughingstock in the whole city's social circle, completely ruin her reputation and fashion career, and make her never have the chance to mix into high-end social occasions again. Fourth, prohibit all hotels, shopping malls, catering, and entertainment venues under the Lu Consortium from receiving Lin Shiyu, her parents, and Gao Feng for life, completely block their consumption and social channels, and make them have no foothold in the city. Fifth, sort out all the people who followed the trend of ridicule and contempt at the scene today, record their information in the consortium's blacklist, and never cooperate with any of their industries and projects in the future. Execute all orders immediately with zero delay. Yes, strictly implement all chairman's instructions. Qin Hao and all senior executives bowed respectfully and responded in unison. The terrifying execution power of the top consortium broke out instantly, and the ruthless sanction fell on everyone without any mercy. In less than 10 minutes, Gao Feng's company completely declared bankruptcy. All assets were frozen, all projects were terminated, and he changed from a glamorous elite boss to a penniless loser with heavy debts overnight. All his social connections and industry reputations were completely ruined, and he was completely expelled from the business circle. The Lin family's business collapsed instantly, all resource connections were cut off, the capital chain was completely broken, and all the wealth and glory accumulated over 3 years vanished in an instant. They returned to the desperate situation of heavy debts and homelessness, and even faced more serious debt crises than 3 years ago. Lin Shiyu's fashion influencer career was completely ruined. All brand cooperation was terminated, all platform accounts were blocked, and her ungrateful farce was spread all over the city. She became the most shameful laughingstock in the social circle, and no one was willing to contact or help her anymore. All the guests who had ridiculed me before were panicked and regretful, and they all lowered their heads deeply, afraid of being recorded in the blacklist and affecting their family and career development. After losing everything, Lin Shiyu crawled towards me in embarrassment, tears streaming down her face, kowtowing repeatedly, her voice hoarse and desperate, begging bitterly. Lu Chun, I'm wrong. I'm blind and ignorant. I'm vain and ungrateful. I didn't know your supreme identity. I regret it so much. Please forgive me. Give me a chance to start over. I will never be vain again. I will spend my whole life repaying you. Gao Feng also knelt aside and kowtowed repeatedly, begging for mercy tremblingly. Chairman Liu, I'm guilty. I have eyes but fail to see Mount Tai. I dare not be arrogant anymore. Please spare my life and spare my company. Lin Shiyu's parents also cried and knelt on the ground, repenting bitterly, hoping that I could show mercy and let their family go. Looking at their desperate and regretful appearance, I only felt extremely indifferent in my heart. I said coldly, when you humiliated me in public, abandoned me ruthlessly, and repaid my dedication with betrayal, you should have expected today's ending. My sincerity is precious, not a tool for you to trample on at will. My kindness has edges, and my tolerance has boundaries. You chose vanity over sincerity, false wealth over true dedication, and betrayal over gratitude. All the consequences today are your own choices, and no one else is to blame. From today on, we are strangers forever. You will spend the rest of your life in endless regret and despair, paying the price for your snobbery and ingratitude. After saying that, I turned around and left the wedding hall without looking back, leaving the group of desperate and regretful people kneeling on the ground, bearing all the bitter fruits of their own actions. Hashtag Chapter 6 Final Ending. Sincerity surpasses vanity. Kindness has edges. After I left, the grand wedding venue completely lost its previous glory and noise, leaving only a desolate and embarrassing atmosphere. All the guests left one after another with complex moods. Everyone was deeply touched by this farce, and they all understood a truth. Never judge a person by superficial appearance, never repay kindness with enmity, and never be trapped by trivial vanity. Lin Shiyu lost the sincere lover who loved her wholeheartedly, lost all her family's wealth and glory, lost her career and reputation, and finally got nothing but endless regret and despair. From a glamorous fashion influencer envied by everyone, she fell into the bottom of society, living in poverty and suffering every day. Gao Feng lost his career and assets overnight, became a bankrupt debtor, and completely disappeared from the upper class circle, becoming a shameful joke in the business circle. The Lin family completely collapsed from prosperity, returned to poverty and debt, and could never recover from the blow. This is the price of snobbery, vanity, and ingratitude. In this materialistic society, many people are easily confused by superficial glamour and false wealth. They ignore the sincere dedication around them, blindly pursue high-status vanity, and mistakenly take trivial false prosperity as their lifelong pursuit. They don't know that the most precious wealth in the world is never money and status, but sincere feelings and unreserved dedication. I keep a low profile not because I am incompetent, but because I disdain to use wealth to test human nature. I hide my identity not because I have no strength, but because I value sincerity more than vanity. True wealth and status are never used to show off and bully others, but to insist on kindness, maintain justice, and reward sincerity. In the days to come, I will still adhere to my original intention, treat sincere people with sincerity, and treat snobbish and ungrateful people with zero tolerance. I will continue to expand my career layout, use my strength to protect kind people, and let all vanity and ungratefulness be punished by reality. Always remember, the most noble thing in life is not superficial glory and wealth, but sincere heart and grateful character. Those who abandon sincerity for vanity will eventually be abandoned by all beauty and hope.